Anchors up, sells it full. Welcome to this Loopcast. How are you doing today, Kyle?
Doing pretty well, Jared. How are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. It's a new tradition. It's a good tradition. If I can get my finger. I can't get my finger. Okay, there we go. Oh, it turned.
Phrasing.
Oh my God. Well, no, hey, don't be phrasing this early in the podcast now.
All right. We're going to waste no time here. We got a lot to talk about. We have arguably the toughest regular season game for Ohio State right here this week. Ohio State heading on over to Eugene, Oregon to take on those Ducks.
Yeah. Okay. I guess we're going right into it, aren't we? Should I just pull the thing up?
Just pull the thing up.
Here we go. Eugene, Oregon, 7:30. Kyle, first question for you. Are you worried about the travel? Here's the thing I'm going to bring up. I'm not going to bring it up a lot in this episode, but if you stick around for the Friday episode where we do our sloop picks, we pick 6 additional games against the spread. Always be plugging the Friday show. I'm going to bring this up a few times during that show. Big Ten teams, whether it be one of the 4 West Coast teams traveling east or one of the traditional Eastern teams traveling to the 4 new teams out west, are currently 1-7 against the spread. That being said,
interesting set, yeah.
That being said, the favorite has won in every single game. So there, except USC losing to Minnesota. So there's also an exception. Each one has an exception.
Mm-hmm.
So the favorite's winning, but they're winning by less than expected with a very small sample size acknowledged. Acknowledged is a small sample size. But when West goes east or east goes west, favorites are still winning, but not covering the spread most of the time. Like a high majority of the time. Now, Ohio State's only favored by 3.5 points, so it doesn't leave a lot of room to play with in regards to...
Remember, at the start of the year, Oregon was favored here preseason here, so it's jumped at least like 5 points.
Hold on, I think I can
favor here.
I think I can actually... Why don't you talk about some Oregon players? I think I can actually find those...
yeah, sure. I mean,
that movement.
We're also start then the quarterback, the Oklahoma Sooner transfer Gabriel, who's accurate. I'll just say very, very accurate. What's his he's got to be
77.8.
77.8. Very, very accurate quarterback here. About 1,450 yards. 11 touchdowns and 3 interceptions for the year. Do note that 2 of those interceptions did come against Sparty recently. And he could make some runs too. He already has 3 rushing touchdowns for the year too. So definitely something Ohio State has to keep an eye out on the defensive side there.
By the way,
support
the first date marked on this line movement that I have had Oregon favored by 1.5 in July. But on the, what would this be? September 7th, it swung in Ohio State's favor where they were favored by 1. Then on the 9th, Oregon was favored by 1 again. Then on the 10th, it went back to Ohio State by 1. It's jumped around a little bit since then, but it has mostly been favoring Ohio State generally in that direction.
Yeah. Offense revolves around Gabriel. Gabriel is a very, very accurate quarterback, as we just mentioned here. Throwing to targets such as Taz Johnson, who has the most receptions by far, 43 receptions already in 5 games.
Yeah, and that dwarfs the next guy.
Else.
Trayshawn Holden's the second most receptions at 19.
Yeah.
More than double.
Evan Stewart has 16, and their tight end Terrence Ferguson has 16 as well too. So yeah, spreading the ball around, but definitely heavily favoring Ted Johnson though.
Tez Johnson, far and away the favorite target of Dylan Gabriel.
Yeah, I'm just pulling up of his game logs here. So recent games against Sparty, he had 10 receptions, 84 yards. Against UCLA, he had 11 for 121 yards. Against Oregon State, he had 7 for 110. Yeah, about 30 catches, receptions in the last 3 games here.
Does Tez Johnson get followed by our fastest corner the whole game? I don't know if it's fastest. I would still completely say that Burke is CB1. So I think the question is, does Burke follow him the entire game? Yeah. And I don't know the answer to that question, to be honest with you. I feel like Ohio State has left a lot of its defense in its back pocket in anticipation for this game.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at his average receptions, not even 10 right now. So he's getting those just short passes. So you want someone who can cover him up close here. He's not going to really burn you deep. He's not going to really burn you deep. His longest reception is 52 yards against UCLA, but his longest was 17 against Michigan State. His longest was 19 against Idaho, 27 against Oregon State. Not going to really beat you deep compared to Ohio State players like Ibuka and Jeremiah Smith. So you want somebody who's going to be able to get on him and cover him, because he's going to do those short routes to get those first down catches, or make it really short to pick up those easy first downs as well. The running backs, Jordan James is our RB1.
Yeah.
Pretty impressive so far here. 88 rushes for 552 yards. So I can do math real quick.
6.3.
About 6.3 per rush. Really good. Very, very good. So pretty balanced overall. They're rushing for about 165 yards, passing for 295. So getting it done both on the ground and in the air. But
offensively,
it's definitely going to be the toughest challenge offensive, or the toughest challenge for Ohio State's defense this year.
Yeah, and it needs to be said that this is, I mean, you see all of these impressive offensive stats. So the question, if you're a smart football fan, or maybe it's not even a question, maybe you just already know it. If you're a smart football fan, yeah, their offensive line's damn good. Maybe the best in the country, among the best in the country. Being led by 2 all-star offensive tackles, Cornelius and Connerly, and a incredibly impressive center with a name I'm not going to try to pronounce. Quite frankly, just not even going to do it.
Yeah, they started off really rough though. The offensive line started really rough, letting up 7 sacks in the first 2 games. But since then,
none since then.
None in the past 3 games here. So they've got it figured out. So definitely gonna be a big challenge for this Ohio State front 7, front 6, 6.5, whatever you want to call it, to try to get that pressure onto Gabriel, because he's that kind of quarterback. You got to get in his face, or if you give him time, those receivers like Tez Johnson and Holden and Stewart, even their tight end Ferguson,
but mostly Tez Johnson
is going to get open. What's that?
But mostly Tez Johnson.
Mostly Tez Johnson, but they got playmakers all over the field there.
Sparty was knocking him around a bit. I saw Dylan Gabriel got popped against Sparty. Yeah, absolutely. You're almost, that's a dual-edged sword, because the Ohio State staff can look to what Michigan State did and see if they can replicate it. At the same time, Oregon obviously saw what happened, and they can try to fix the problems that they had. So it's always, the cat and mouse game of.
I mean, fair, but I mean, they still got the ball to Tez a lot. They still got the ball a lot to him.
Yeah, but no offense to Sparty, who has a good defense, but if they can get there, we can get there. And if that means blitzing more often, then that means blitzing more often. You know what I mean? Yeah. That is what it is. I wonder, and I'm not going to stand here and pretend like I'm intimately familiar with Oregon's depth chart, because I'm not, but I wonder how deep they are. They don't. Jordan James is is RB1. Period. You have Noah Whittington, who has gotten some carries this year, but the per carry drop off is pretty big. He has less than half of the rushes that Jordan James has. So the drop off, at least statistically, I'm not trying to rip on Noah Whittington. I'm not familiar with his game, but statistically speaking, there's a significant drop off. We've already talked about Tez Johnson and how he's dwarfing receptions for everyone else on the team. Again, he has 43 catches. Next closest has 19.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems like you have three guys. This offense statistically looks like it's three guys. Not from in the skill positions. Obviously, their offensive line is stacked. They have an excellent offensive line. But, it does make you wonder what happens if one of those guys goes down. What happens if Ohio State's able to neutralize one or two of those guys? What happens then? Especially if that person's Tez Johnson. Ohio State has an excellent secondary. If they so choose to, they can neutralize Tez Johnson. Now, the question always becomes, what are you opening up? What are you sacrificing to do that?
Yeah.
Becomes the question. Tight end isn't bad either. I agree. Terrence Ferguson, Kenyon Shadiq, they have two pretty good tight ends, but I'm not trying to belittle any of the other players. I know that they're talented. Trayshawn Holden, Evan Stewart are both incredibly talented, but for whatever reason, statistically speaking, they seem to really focus on three guys. And one of them's the quarterback. So obviously he's a focus, right? That's a given. From a skill position standpoint, it's two guys, Jordan James and Tez Johnson. It's not to say that the other guys can't do it, not to say the other guys aren't talented by any means, but statistically speaking, it's a three-man show.
Yeah.
Stewart has not been the same level he was at A&M, which is so revealing. I was scared of him when he transferred. It's weird. And, following the NFL for as long as I have, it's really weird because common sense is if player really good here, I can pick him up, put him over here, and player should be really good here. But it's actually crazy how often that turns out not to be true.
Yep.
Defensively.
Yep. It's Jordan Birch. I mean, you got to start off with Jordan Birch. Such a monster on that defensive end there.
And opposite him.
This is the guy that I worry the most here honestly on both sides is probably Jordan Birch. Like he can be the difference maker in for Ohio State to make anything happen. We talked about in preseason that we were worried about the Ohio State's offensive line, and so far the offensive line has done pretty good, but have not come up to anybody close to the level of Jordan Birch so far this year.
I'll say
already has 5 sacks already for the year. He gets his big hands up too as a defensive end. He already has 3 pass deflections already. He is a big difference maker, and I really worry about him making a big impact and slowing down Ohio State's offense, getting them off the field earlier than they would want to. But yeah, got to really keep an eye out for number 1 there. He is a big problem for Ohio State's offense.
But if you focus on him too much, Mateo Uyunglele is on the opposite side of that defensive line. Yes, that is the younger brother of the quarterback. Yes, for those of you who follow Ohio State recruiting, Ohio State was very much involved in that recruitment until the very end. But yeah, like that's part of the problem when you play a team that's as good as Oregon is, at least on paper. You know, you can't go all out on Jordan Birch.
I mean, that's
Uyunglele is on the other side. And they also have an incredibly talented trio of linebackers. Tasheem Johnson at safety is a total difference maker. Jabbar Muhammad at cornerback is an outstanding player. This is a great team. There aren't a lot of holes on this defense. Their defensive tackles, Harmon and Caldwell, are both very good players. It is what it is. They have Brandon Johnson, who's a really good nickel guy. Who are they going to throw at JJ? That's a great question.
And that's the thing that Ohio State has going for them, is that they got outstanding wide receiver core that if they try to focus too much on Ibuka, if they try to focus too much on Jeremiah, hey, this could be the breakout game for like Ennis, for Bryson. Like you could see maybe more targets going to them because of the focus of them stopping Ibuka and Jeremiah. I could potentially see that.
You know, and I think I don't know this, but I think we're getting Tate back for this game. He was questionable last game. I assume that means he'll be good to go this game, but I don't know. But Ohio State does have plenty of wide receivers queued up if they don't.
Yep.
Statistically speaking, Oregon looks fantastic. Points per game, top 20. Yards per play, top 20. Yards per pass, top 20. Yards per rush and yards per game, they're just outside the top 20. Defensively, they are top 20 in points per game, yards per play, and yards per pass. Their weakest statistical category is yards per rush, and they're still only 44th in that. They're still only allowing 3.8 in that.
And I think that's
what about turnovers? They are weak in the turnover area.
Yeah, I think that's where Ohio State's probably going to have the most success. Is it's going to be on that run game here. Historically, Ohio State's done a really good job with the run blocking here, and we've seen that all this year, especially the past couple of games here. Granted, the opponents they play, understand, but the offensive line has been playing outstanding. Seth, the transfer center, had his best game as a Buckeye. Yeah. Buckeye last weekend here. So keep that train rolling. If that offensive line can block as well and get these running backs to get to that second level, so that like the first contact is at 4 or 5 yards,
right?
Like they're going to wear down. They can wear down Oregon like they have been all year, and just third quarter comes around and Ohio State just starts taking over. Then that's my hope to see in this game is Ohio State starts wearing down Oregon. offensive line, getting those blocks, getting the running backs to that second level.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, someone brought up turnovers in the chat. I think it was Gangland. Turnover margin, 97th in the country. They're currently down a half of a turnover per game. Time of possession, they're right in the middle. Dylan Gabriel's thrown 3 interceptions on the year, which is not terrible. Anyway, the past games. Now, okay, so we're gassing up Oregon, right?
Hmm?
On paper, they're fantastic. I'm gonna tell you why we shouldn't
potential top four team in the country.
They are literally ranked number 3 right now. And I'm going to tell you why maybe don't be so afraid of Oregon after we come back from this commercial. That's what you call a tease. We're going to do a quick ad break. Before we do that, if you want to avoid these ad breaks, you can go to patreon.thesloopcast.com, become a patron, and gain access to the Patreon version of the show, which is ad-free. It is ad-free. That's only $3 a month. That's it. It's literally only $3 a month. And by the way, for as long as we've been doing it, has always been $3 a month. We don't do inflation here at the Sloopcast. That's all I'm saying. Patreon.thesloopcast.com, Discord.thesloopcast.com, YouTube.thesloopcast.com, and a bunch of other links. And if you're just looking for those links, you can just go to thesloopcast.com and find a link. In that link, you'll find all the other links. Good stuff, huh? Here's that ad break now. Kyle, why shouldn't we be? We gave a lot of reasons why we should be afraid of Oregon. Why shouldn't we be afraid of Oregon?
Why shouldn't we? I think we touched base a little bit of this, and that's that's the wide receiver room. That's the running back room. It's all these playmakers outside there who've done an excellent job already this year in making plays.
We're talking about Ohio State's rooms.
Making one-hand catches, stiff arming.
But we're still talking
linebackers to the ground there.
But we're still talking about Oregon. We're not talking about Ohio State. We're talking about Oregon. Despite everything I've just said, they only beat Idaho by 10 points.
Okay.
They only beat Boise by 3 points. They did destroy Oregon State. I'll give you that. They beat UCLA by 21 points, but if you paid attention to that game, it wasn't quite so close. And they just beat Michigan State. Not as good as Ohio State just beat. UCLA is extremely mid. That is a compliment. That's an insult to the mid teams. To call UCLA mid is an insult to the teams that are actually mid. But
to counter that, Jared, I understand.
We beat Michigan State better than they beat Michigan State, and Michigan State did it going to Oregon. We did it going to East Lansing.
And I think that's the game you have to compare this matchup here, is that most recent game of Michigan State. Very recent ones. I know Jared said, you beat Idaho by 10 points. Yes, on paper that looks bad, but that's week 1. And we looked at the statistics, if I can talk, where Oregon's much improved on the offensive line, letting up 7 sacks in the first 2 games to 0 sacks given up the last 3 games. They got their shit together.
Yeah.
And really improved on the offense there, protecting Gabriel. And we saw the rushing attack improve there as well too. So, but yeah, if you want to compare, the comparison is definitely Ohio State, Michigan State, and Oregon and Michigan State. And yeah, you look at them, Ohio State definitely on top, both from the final score and the statistics number as well. And that Ohio State did it in East Lansing versus Oregon playing at Eugene.
Kyle, have we gotten to know Oregon sufficiently?
I think so. Anything else you want to add on, Jared, about this game here? I know you mentioned the. I know you mentioned that the Big Ten teams going west hasn't done too well
Against the spread.
Against the spread and all that too. So yeah, do you think without spoiling, but do you think that really is going to be an effect? Is that going to be a problem for Ohio State?
Whatever fear you could get from the statistic that teams aren't doing well against the spread when they travel from the Eastern Big Ten to the Western Big Ten, to me gets negated, if not totally overwritten, by the fact that the favorite has still won all of those games but one. So yes, against the spread, the away team is 1-7. But the actual game, they're 7-1. USC traveling to Minnesota being the example on the actual, the actual game, not the against the spread game.
Gotcha. Yes, Jared's Gophers.
Not my Gophers.
All right, let's go ahead and jump into it here. Let's get into our predictions here. Jared, who is our guest speaker this week?
He's not a guest speaker, although he has been a guest speaker in the past. Our guest picker is Austin, who is currently down in the chat. You might remember Austin if you've watched the Sloopcast a lot. He has filled in for Kyle on a couple occasions. Kyle, where are we starting?
Well, let's start with our enemy. Well, let's do in order how we always have it. Ohio State player to watch. What do you have for Ohio State's player to watch here?
Ohio State's player to watch, I'm going to go with Seth McLaughlin. This is a game that will be decided in the trenches. Ohio State has a greatly improved offensive line. Oregon has a really good defensive line. Oregon has a really improved offensive line. Ohio State has a really good defensive line. There's so many skill players in this game. And there are so many skill players in this game on both sides of the ball. But don't let any of that distract you from the fact that this game will in fact be won in the trenches. Win the line, win the game.
I like where your mind's going because I have written down here an offensive lineman as well. I'm not going to go with the center here. I'm going to go, as you all aware of, I kind of like to have a theme going on here, but I'm going with the left tackle. I'm going with Josh Simmons.
Yeah,
with Josh Simmons as my Ohio State player to watch here.
So
he can reduce.
From that, can I guess who your Oregon enemy player to watch is going to be?
We'll get there.
Okay.
But yeah, it's got to really, really slow down those two threats of the defensive end there. And I think Josh Fryer can do a pretty good job, but I definitely really worry about Josh Simmons on the other side there still. And I feel that he can get exposed. He's done great recently, and I'm really, really proud of what I've seen from Josh Simmons so far this year. But like I mentioned before, this is a whole new beast that they're going up against here.
Who does Austin have?
I feel like this player has been picked by either Jared or myself or a guest picker every week. So we're staying with that trend here, and Austin has picked Sonny Styles.
Yeah.
He says here, Sonny's been making a lot of tackles this year. He's been making his mark, but I feel like he's been out of position some in coverage. His run game stoppage has been elite, but I really want to see him get back in his safety days a bit this week and cover those crossing routes. I agree. I'm predicting a sunny pick 6 this week. I'm going to electrify. It's going to electrify the fan base. I'll say maybe 8 minutes to go in the third quarter. Book it. Yeah, we talked about this in a number of the Scarlet and Grade episodes where we reviewed the Ohio State game. And those crossing routes, the middle of the field has been wide open a lot of the time there. And yeah, I mentioned I hope that the defensive staff gets that locked down because newsflash, Oregon loves, or I should say that Gabriel loves throwing it in the middle.
Tez Johnson loves it too.
What's the next enemy player to watch. And yes, Jared, you're right. It's Jordan Birch for me for the Oregon player to watch here. If he can make his presence known and disrupt this Ohio State offense here, man, it's going to be a long day. It's going to be a long day for this Ohio State team. It means that the playmakers aren't going to get the ball as much, isn't going to get as many touches, and that defense can start getting worn down a little bit more when Oregon's offense is on that has the ball more often too. So that offense has got to get on the field and stay on the field a little bit longer, get those drives going, and get some points on the board. Who you got, Jared?
I got Tez Johnson for the reasons you said. Ohio State has been weak with shallow, short passes over the middle. Tez Johnson he's the exact, we see it happen a few times a season where a wide receiver just rips us up for like 8 catches and, it's not necessarily a ton of yards, but it is like a ton of first downs, and it's enough to get you all anxious and pissed off. He feels like that kind of guy. This feels like that kind of game. If Ohio State can prevent that from happening, Oregon's fucked, quite frankly. Mm-hmm. If Ohio State can neutralize Tez Johnson and just contain Jordan James, Oregon's done. It's over for Oregon at that point.
Austin also picks Tez Johnson here. Since he averages 9 catches a game, very quick, and he is able to get a crossing route on the run, then he is a threat to take it to the distance. Ohio State has to be able to keep everything in front of them in the passing game and can't let Tez get open on a post between the hashes or shallow outside of them. I agree to a certain point, but keeping everything in front of them, that's where Oregon excels at. Like, get the ball quickly to their playmakers, which they have been, and then let them do their thing. And that's what Tez Johnson has done. He catches the ball really short and makes good runs after that too. So keeping everything in front of them, I'd say to an extent. No, of course you don't want to let them get behind them. Obviously you don't want that, but we don't want to give them this space in front of them too. We've talked about, and even you yourself, Austin, where you're seeing it's 3rd and 5, and also they convert because they kept everything in front.
Listen, he's just poking at you like he normally pokes at me.
That's fine. This is entertaining. So
I hope so.
All right, key matchup here. Ohio State's offensive line versus Oregon's defensive ends.
Why don't you just go full defensive line?
No, I'm going to the defensive ends.
Hey,
I have a lot of faith in Seth. I have a lot of faith in Seth. I have a lot of faith in Donovan Jackson. It's those 2 defensive ends that I'm really worried about.
All I'm saying, Derek Harmon especially is very good. Caldwell is also very good.
I understand. Donovan Jackson is very good as well.
I understand. I'm just saying, if you're going to go
Fryer's pretty good too. But yeah, it's
in situations,
yeah.
when used correctly. You said Ohio State's.
What's your key matchup, Jared?
Burke. I'm not going to go groupings. I'm going to say straight up Burke on Johnson.
Enough said.
All right, let's go. I already made my case.
Yep. All right. Let's see here. He has Austin. I could go with Styles Johnson, but that feels too easy. I'm going to say Tate and Emeka versus the Oregon DBs who aren't Jabbar Muhammad. I think Muhammad is going to be given the Smith assignment. Emeka and Tate can routinely beat the other Oregon DBs who are not nearly as good. Ohio State can have a great day on O.
I think Ohio State wins the day on the ground, which is not to say that they can't win it through the air, because they can.
I will say here, because I have not looked at any. I have not looked at any of Austin's over unders yet. If Ohio State can get over, I'll say over 165 rushing yards in this game, Ohio State's going to win. If they can get over 165 on the ground, Ohio State will win this game.
I don't know about that.
That tells me that they had success on the ground. They kept going to the ground. They're getting first downs, extending the drives. I think 165 will be enough.
As a singular stat to put the entire game on, I don't agree, but that's okay. We don't have to agree.
All right. Next one here is group them all in one. Here is our final score. Ohio State, as locked in from the CBS Pick'ems, is Ohio State at a 3.5 point favorite here. I will go ahead and start with Austin's here. He says here, I really think Oregon isn't quite as good as we're expecting them to be at the beginning of the year. Ohio State has impressed me, especially lately, and I am a notable pessimist. The offensive line has been close to dominant, surprisingly, and if they keep that up against Horman and Birch, etc., then I think the Buckeyes will roll. Buckeyes win this one pretty easily. He has the final score, Buckeyes winning and covering 38-17, a 21-point victory. Wow.
You know what's really wow?
That I do not agree with, but
you want to know what's really wow about that number to me? It's also my number.
Hey, Austin, he's cheating. He's cheating, Austin.
That's also my number. 38-17. We have the same brain cell, Austin. I don't know what to tell you. We share the same brain cell. Yeah, we talked Saturday. If you told me I think I did tell you on Saturday that I thought that Ohio State was going to crush the spread. I did, and you said it'll be worse than 38-17. Huh. I guess all of my week of researching Oregon made me back down off of that, saying 38-17, it'll be worse than that. But, oh well, that's fine. I'm allowed to change my mind. Kyle, you're lambasting Austin and I's prediction of 38-17.
Yeah.
You're going to be more pessimistic then. What do you have?
I am, yeah. I have Ohio State winning. I have Ohio State 27, Oregon 24.
I'm sorry.
I think it's going to be a very, very close game.
I'm going to say this right now. Oregon's not scoring over 20. Not happening. I felt like I was very generous with my 17. I feel like I was very generous giving them 17 points. If I'm wrong,
I just think
if my prediction is wrong, it is because Ohio State will score less, not that Oregon will score more.
And my reasoning for that is just you're going into the most hostile environment to date and all regular season that Ohio State's going to go up against here. It's a prime time game here. Oregon's offense is no joke. Like for you to say that 17 points is generous, like that's kind of you're kind of downplaying how great Oregon's offense is. And I understand Ohio State's defense is outstanding. 100%. I agree with that. But it's, man, if they can get them holding to 17 points, I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled.
Yeah.
Ohio State fans should be jumping up and down, yelling in the streets, celebrating to keep them with 17 points here.
I agree.
But Oregon's offense is just, I just think too good to give them that little points there.
Spikes.
So I think it's going to be close.
Spike says, so 10 in the first quarter and 7 against the backups. Honestly, yes. I mean, maybe not the backups. I don't know if the backups get in on this game, but maybe against the defense late when the defense isn't maybe going at 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Garbage time. Yeah. Just garbage time regardless. But
yeah. It'll be something like 14-all at halftime, something like that. And then Ohio State, like they have been all year, breaks it open in the third quarter, and Oregon makes it a close game later in the game, fourth quarter, but Ohio State holds out. Defense holds out to win the game.
Yeah. Austin says 14-10 at half. Once again, I agree. I think 14-10 at half, to steal what Spike says, sounds right. And then Ohio State breaks it open later. Because while I think from a starting standpoint, Oregon's roster is very comparable to ours, we're deeper. Ohio State is deeper. The talent goes beyond the first few players, whereas I don't know if that's the case with Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
And it's worth pointing out, Chip Kelly's been here before. Chip Kelly is a UCLA guy.
That is true.
He's seen this Oregon team before. So it's not going to be totally foreign for Ohio State.
Mm-hmm. All right. Before we get into Austin's over-unders, we're going to go ahead and take our second ad break. Just want to remind everybody to check out thesloopcast.com for all of your links. Wrong one, Jared. All of your links, anything Sloopcast related. Patreon.thesloopcast, Discord.thesloopcast, and YouTube.thesloopcast, and much, much more. Really want to emphasize on the Discord part. It's free. It's free. If you want a chat board, if you want to hang out with other Ohio State fans, it's free. You can download it on your phone. You can have it on your laptop, on your tablet. Really easy to join and join other fellow Buckeye fans, Sloopcats, Jared and I here. Have a good time, talk about Buckeyes, talk about whatever you want. It's a great community. Again, discord.thesloopcast.com is where you can join that. So we'll go ahead and take our second ad break and be right back. Austin over-unders.
Austin's over-unders.
All right, first one, Howard plus Trey rushes combined together at 20.5. Under.
I'm going to say, how many rushes does Howard get? I think we're going to see more runs with Howard.
I'd say 4.
This week. And then do the rushes include sacks? Yes, they do. And Oregon can get to the quarterback. We could see as many as 10 Howard rushes this game in total. like 2 sacks, 8 runs. I think that's totally plausible. You take 10 Trey rushes on top of that. I don't necessarily see this being like a big James Peoples day, which means that's additional carries split between he and Judd. Which is a good number. I'm going to go. It's a deceptively good number because you really just want to say under right away. But I think I'm going to go over.
Don't think too hard. It's under.
Nah, I'm going over.
All right. That's fine. All right.
I disagree, Gangland. I think this is more of a Trey game.
What's your total tackles? 7.5.
That's probably an over. He's dominating
I'd go over as well.
He's absolutely dominating the overall tackles for Oregon's defense right now. I don't even know if we said his name up until this point. I had him up on the board and I had him highlighted so the YouTube people saw him, Jeffrey Bassa, Tui, Tai. I can't. I'm sorry. I can't. The Polynesian names go too hard for Oregon sometimes, but they have 3 really good linebackers. I tried. Okay. I tried.
Yep. All right. We both go over for that one. Next one here is Gabriel passing yards over under 247.5. Over.
Sorry. Say it again. You said it very quickly.
Gabriel's passing yards at 247.5. I go over because that's where Oregon's going to have the most success. I think Ohio State's going to do a good job of stopping the run, stopping Jordan James from making plays, and they're going to have to pass, get the ball out to Tez, to Holden, to Ferguson. I'll go over for that 247.5.
I'm going to go under. I think Ohio State's going to have a really good defensive day.
All right.
I really think Knowles has been holding back a lot for this game. I think there's.
I hope so.
I think there's a lot of wrinkles in this defense that we have not seen yet.
All right. Ohio State sacks and forced fumbles at 3.01.
Sacks and forced fumbles.
I'll go under. Like that's Oregon's offensive line is really good, guys. They're really good, and they're doing really well recently here. So that's a big number. I'll go under. I mean, yes, if you get a strip sack, yeah, that's 2 right there. But he gets exactly Z Spikes. Gabriel gets rid of the ball really quick, so I'll go under.
Yeah,
we've been averaging 4 sacks per week. But this is a whole new level. This is a whole new level.
As Kyle pointed out, Gabriel hasn't been sacked in the last 3 weeks, and that's been against like not bad competition. Oregon State, UCLA, Michigan State. That being said, Michigan State, despite not getting any sacks in that game, put a ton of hits on Gabriel. I'm going to go over on this one.
Okay.
I just got a Team Jared from Austin. Tossing that out there. Wow, it has come to this. I like Oregon. They're not getting out of this game without a sack. I know they haven't given up a sack the last 3 weeks. Michigan State got close a bunch. Ohio State is just that much better, and I don't think they'll just get close. I think they'll actually get some of those sacks.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Gabriel also sometimes has a tendency to try to make things happen, which is good when it happens, but also can increase sack numbers. So we'll see.
Yeah. All right. Next up here, we have Jordan James and Quinshawn Judkins rushing yards at 210.5. So
Under.
yeah, under.
Just
I'm going
let's just
under.
you can't
My brain hurts
that
thinking
feels
about
like
that.
that feels like cheating to include running backs from two separate teams. Well, that's fair, Austin.
All right. Next one we have Tate, Smith, and Ibuka catches combined at 15.5. Over.
My one concern with this is that we don't know the health of Tate. So let's just assume Tate doesn't play. You would then need Emeka and Smith to get 8 apiece, which is a lot.
That's the fun part.
That's part of the fun. Yeah, I know. I'm going to go over because I think Tate will play. He wasn't out last week. He was questionable, then didn't play, which makes me think he'll be available this week.
So
but it's a
interesting
big gamble. It's a big gamble, I think. I also think this is a ground and pound game. I might be talking myself out of this. I'm going to go under. I'm going under. I talked myself out of it. Under.
Interesting, though, Jarrett. You were saying that Michigan State got to Gabriel, hit him a lot. According to the final stats of that Michigan State-Oregon game, 0 quarterback hurries.
I don't... Hurry is so subjective. How many hits? How many knockdowns? Are those in there?
No, you don't really find those as in actual like stats and all that. There might be somewhere else, but what I pull up, it doesn't have that. All right, and the last one here we have is Styles and Ransom tackles combined at 11.5, but every sack by either counts as 3 tackles.
Okay. Over. What was just the tackle part? Say just the tackle part again. Oh, it's minus 3 tackles. He says minus 3 tackles. I was about to say I thought the over was given just by the tackles alone.
They're not going to. I don't think either one's really going to get a sack here, so I'm going to go over just on the pure tackles.
What if they do? Because
I'm going to go over.
Styles blitzed a lot last week. I'm still going to go over, but that's tough. That's tough.
Yep. All right. All right, and that is Austin. That is Austin.
Hold on. Gangland says Styles also could be a quarterback spy in certain situations. God, that's true.
All right,
I'm still going to go over, but
all right. That is Austin overs, and that is another episode of Know Your Enemy.
All right. We're running a bit long. So Kyle, do you have anything in Kyle's corner?
Anything in Kyle's corner? No.
Fair enough.
Nothing much. No. I know there was a lot of.
You might want to plug our happenings on Saturday.
Yeah, a lot of conversations about a former Michigan staff that's saying things and all that, but we'll just leave it at that.
Are you talking about Stallions claiming that he gave signals to Ohio State? Okay.
No, he didn't give it. No, he gave it to someone who gave it to someone who gave it to Ohio State.
Cool. Hey, this guy is known to be dishonest and known to hate Ohio State. Why should I believe anything he has to say about anything? Done.
Fair
over.
Enough.
We don't need no further conversation needed on that.
Oh, after the Ohio State game, be sure to check out the Bleacher Report app. Jared and I will be, for a second week in a row, we'll be doing a live reaction of the Ohio State and Oregon game on the Bleacher Report app. So if you
Kyle, not live.
Not a live reaction to the game.
After reaction to the game.
Yeah. It's live react makes it sound like we're watching it live. Yeah.
React
instant reaction post game.
Yes, we do it live. Yeah,
we will be. It will be live. We'll be live.
It will be live. Yeah, come check us out. If you haven't downloaded the app, go ahead and do so. I think you have to subscribe to the follow Ohio State football or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
We'll send up messages. Follow us on Discord. We will let you know when it's immediately going live and give you all those lovely links. Yeah, come join out. It was I think it was pretty good success. We had a pretty good interaction last week. So yeah, come check us out after the Ohio State Oregon game.
Yep. All right, that's it. That's the end of the show. Tonight's ending music brought to you by a Columbus-based band called Playing to Vapors. Playing to Vapors will be ending today's show. So, with all that being said, I'd like to encourage everyone to drink local beer, listen to local music, and of course, support your local podcasters. Once again, these are Playing to Vapors.